Hey, deserving listeners, it's episode 2, season 8, 90 Day Fiancé. Let's get to the show. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor, and usually when I watch the show, I got things to say, so let's see if this time is any different.
All right, hey, look, I'm going to go park the car.
Hurry up.
All right.
Come on, let's go. This is the part we've been waiting for. Oh, we're finally here.
I know. Before Julia gets here, let's go.
So I don't know, but total speculation based on what we're seeing here. There's a possibility that the mom knows that she's being invasive, that there's something odd or unethical about the way that she is involving herself in Brandon's life. And as a way of trying to obscure that, she puts on a big smile and she acts like she is on his side, when in reality, she is not actually on his side. Because if she was actually on his side, she would ask him, do you want me to go to the airport with you? Do you want me to go to the gate with you? Do you want me to call the physician to talk about birth control for your fiancé? What do you want? You know, if you're really on your son's side, you're going to ask him, what does he want? Instead, she has absolutely forced her way into this situation. Now, Brandon has allowed it, so she could make the argument of, well, yeah, I mean, I pressured him, but he seemed fine with it. And he kind of does seem fine with it. In the interviews away from the mom, he's saying things like he's not super appreciative, but the mom could believe that it's totally fine. Anyway, point is, I think the mom kind of knows there's something invasive about her behavior, and her behavior, she's very bubbly, right? She's like, oh, this is so fun. We're so excited for this. When in reality, she might be thinking, I don't know if I really want to be here. I mean, I'm not, this woman, I don't know if I even like her yet. But I want to make sure I can stay close to the situation so that I can invade. And the only way I'm going to do that is if my son believes that I'm 100% on board with his process. So if that's the case, which I don't have any direct evidence of, that would be interesting to feel that from Brandon's point of view, right? You're watching your mother act in ways that you think is not genuine because you know she wants to get close to the situation so that she can invade. Like, that would feel pretty bad, I would imagine. But I don't know. Let's continue watching.
We're so ready for Julia to arrive.
Absolutely.
We're really excited, and we're really excited for Brandon.
That's pretty, Brandon.
That's nice.
I like
very
that.
pretty. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Now, there's nothing wrong with the parents being excited for their son. If they are very close, which it seems like they are, then they might really feel excited for him and happy for him in this moment. But I just wonder how Brandon feels about the whole thing, and I'm guessing we're going to get a lot more information as we watch. So I don't know, but I would want to know more about what the mom just said there. She says her nerves are on end. If I had a chance, I would want to know what's the full breadth of the emotions that she's feeling. Is it excitement and joy? She's smiling, she's excited, she's saying she's very excited about I can't remember, Julia coming over. But I wonder if she's also scared and worried about things. It would be rational for her to have those feelings. So I wonder about the full breadth of the feelings, and I wonder if she's suppressing some feelings or if she's dealing with the anxiety in a way that is not so healthy. Because the way she seems to have a lot of emotion right now. And it seems like some of the emotion isn't exactly excitement for her son. It seems like it's something else. Maybe we'll get some evidence of that. Let's continue watching. It sounds like Brandon is about to say, Mom. That's what he just said. Let's see what he says here.
Let's go. Once we finally see her, it's going to be like, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps too. All this time and now.
Yeah, there just seems to be something weird about this. Now, there's nothing wrong with a mother who is very excited and happy for her son. I know parents who are like this, and there's nothing nefarious about it. But there just seems, given her behavior up until this point, it just seems interesting. Now, when you're so total speculation, but when you're enmeshed in a family, people often talk about boundaries, right? About like, well, I'm drawing boundaries with my mother. Like, I'm not letting her in my room anymore, or I'm not going to tell her about my relationships anymore. So those are pretty obvious examples of boundaries. But there are other boundaries too that are actually much more involved in when we're looking at relationships as family therapists that involve emotional boundaries. And there's what we talk about in family therapy is we want it to be permeable enough and flexible enough. So those are the two dimensions. One is how permeable is the boundary? Because you want it to be kind of permeable, meaning that if your son is having an emotion, you want to be able to notice it and feel it. That's what empathy is, according to some definitions, is the feeling of someone else's feelings. When you have empathy, you actually feel the feelings inside of you. Other definitions of empathy just involve compassion, this kind of thing. But anyway, the point is that in a family, in any kind of relationship, you want to have that permeability. You want holes in the boundary such that there's exchange of emotions that is automatic, that you don't have to put effort into it. You just naturally feel other people's emotions. But you don't want it to be so permeable that you don't have the ability to differentiate between, it's their emotion, but I'm feeling their emotion. I feel their emotion. I don't feel it as much as they do, but I also notice it's not my feeling, it's their feeling. I notice I'm having empathy for them. Also, you don't want it to be so permeable that you don't have any control over it. You want some control over and this is where flexibility comes in, that however the openness is of the boundary, you need it to be flexible such that it will open up when it needs to be and it will close when it needs to be. So with this in mind, we would look at this family and wonder how permeable is the emotional boundary between son and mother, and how flexible is it? One could argue, given what the son has said, that he doesn't want the mom there, let alone having his emotions amplified times 10. The mom might be noticing that he is not enthusiastic about her massive amounts of empathy for this moment, literally having goosebumps, which it's his goosebumps. Now, as I always say, when you marry into a family, you marry the family. And so the mom is seeing, well, look, my son is about to, we're about to meet the other thing that I'm remembering is she's met her before. I just realized that the parents have spent time with Julia in Europe or something. So it's just kind of interesting that the mom is that excited, because I didn't get the impression that the mom really liked Julia that much. Anyway, so we see some evidence of the boundary is too permeable, the holes are too big in the fence, and it's inflexibly permeable, is what we say. We call this diffuse boundaries in my industry. Now, why would a family be that way? Why would it orient that way? It's usually always something related to traumas in the past, relational traumas in the past. Maybe the mom had very diffuse boundaries with her parents. Maybe she saw people fly apart in the past. Maybe she has reasons to believe that people don't really love her, and her only way of making sure that she stays in contact with people is if the boundaries are in a constant, open, inflexible way. Maybe when she did try to have more flexible boundaries with Brandon, something terrible happened, or with someone else in her life. Maybe Brandon is terrified of being alone and terrified of growing up, and he actually participates in that open boundary and making it inflexible. There's a lot of things, and as family therapists, we investigate the whole thing. We don't just watch behavior and go like, oh, I know the situation. You really have to get the full history of a family to make some guesses as to why that would be. So when you have too permeable, the boundaries are too permeable and too inflexible, then you're going to see stuff like this, where she is falling apart, having goosebumps because he is about to see the love of his life. Now, there's nothing wrong with her having that empathy. It's just, I wonder how Brandon feels about it right now, because most parents in a situation be like, I'm feeling goosebumps right now. But this is really Brandon's moment. And so I don't want to freak him out with my goosebumps right now. Maybe I'll just tell him, wow, I'm really excited for you because this is your moment. And this is, I don't know. It's hard to know. They're also editing it in a certain way. But let's continue to think about those dimensions of permeability and flexibility as we watch this family.
Now we're coming down to not just minutes, but seconds, maybe.
Now, she's finally gonna be here. My heart's starting to race, and I'm looking around like, where is she?
And I want to be clear that a lot of times what people do, even family therapists, is they will say, this style of boundary is the right style. That is actually false. They'll often look at a family like this and say, oh, they're far from the average, thus they must be pathological. That is wrong-headed thinking. The way to assess the healthiness of a boundary is, are they getting their needs met? Because there are many ways to get your needs met. You can have your needs met in a very permeable boundary situation. You can also get your needs met in a very closed boundary situation. If Brandon and his mother had a very disengaged relationship, they could still get their needs met. The needs are varied too, because Brandon has needs for love from his mom. He needs to have contact with his mom. Most people do. He also has a need for independence and competence and to develop relationships outside. The mother needs to have a relationship with her son on some level. She needs some contact with him, some involvement in his life, depending on, but to some degree. She needs to feel some validation that she's done a good job as a mother. Oh, that's another reason why sometimes there are diffuse boundaries, is that parents will sometimes feel so guilty about something that they did in their past, maybe even to the very children that they're enmeshing with, such that they feel like they have to enmesh to make up for something that they did in the past. Maybe there was a divorce or depression, or the parents fought a lot, or they denied the child. They moved the children around a couple times, and the kids were very upset that they had to move away from their hometown and their friends, and they feel very bad about it. And so the parents will become very enmeshed with their kids as a way of trying to make up for that. Sometimes single parents will do this. So you have two parents and a child. There's a divorce. It's pretty messy, and the child lives with one of the parents, and that parent feels very bad about making the child go through that messy divorce, and so they'll enmesh with the children in that way. There's various different types of enmeshment too. You can have enmeshment that's this style where it's like enmesh controlling. You can also have enmeshment as a peer where the parent will either parentify the child or they'll demote themselves such that they're more friends. Anyway, let's continue watching.
Come on.
Let's go. Brandon, who's the most important woman in your life?
Oh. Whew.
Stop.
All right, so the producers are baiting the situation. They're saying, who's the most important woman in your life? And this is a false question, meaning that the question itself is wrong-headed. It'd be like saying to someone who has a bunch of kids, who's your favorite kid? Now, some people do have favorite kids, but a lot of parents don't. So the question posed to him is, who's more important, your mom or your fiancé? Well, it's a false question because he can love both of them, obviously in different ways. He can love his mother as his mother, and he can love his fiancé as his fiancé. He can love his dad as his dad. He can love his friends. You can love a lot of people in life. You don't have to pick between your mother and your fiancé. So the way I would answer this, if someone asked me this question, do you love your mother or Stacy? Who do you love more? Or wait, who's the woman in your life? Well, I guess when you ask it that way, I guess I would say Stacy, because I would never say my mother is the woman in my life. But I guess the way I'd answer it in this context, I would say, well, I love both of them, and I love my mother as my mother, and my mother is in my life and will always be in my life. And my fiancé, I love as well. I love both of them a lot. So let's see what he says.
Я не знаю.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
I hope that means both.
No английский.
So, interesting. He basically just avoided the question and smiled a lot. I don't know, but given what we've seen thus far, which isn't that much, he seems to be exhibiting a pattern when he's backed into a corner of just smiling and saying, I don't know. He's very charming. He's very disarming. It's hard to suspect him of something. And so he's, his very genuine smile, he's giggling, he's, I don't know, and very avoidant. What is he avoiding? Is he just sort of getting out of a weird question? Because it is kind of a weird question, who's the main woman in your life? Or is he avoiding something else? Like, I don't even want to think about it, or I don't really like my mom as much as I think she wants me to like her, or I don't really even know about Julia. What's going on there? And so we'll keep track of that as time goes on. All right, well, that does it for that episode of 90 Day Fiancé and Psychology in Seattle, in which I react to that show. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.